Hey everyone! This is a quick reminder to subscribe and hit that like button. It lets me know that you are enjoying my content. Also, feel free to drop your suggestions for future stories in the comments below. Thank you for listening, and let's dive right in. I got an emergency alert that just said, "You have been chosen." Hey, I don't know where else to post this, but something really weird happened today, and I just need to put it out there. Maybe someone else has experienced this too. So this morning, I was sitting in my usual spot at the campus cafe, half awake and trying to force down the worst coffee I've ever had, when my phone vibrated. At first, I thought it was an Amber Alert or some kind of government test. You know? The ones that make your phone scream at you at the worst possible moment? But this one was different. It was just a plain black screen with white text, no sound, no government banner, just a single sentence. "You have been chosen." No details, no sender, just that. I blinked at it for a second, fully expecting it to disappear like one of those fake pop-up ads, but it didn't. It just sat there, waiting. I even clicked on it, but nothing happened. No link, no expanded message, just those 4 words. At first, I laughed. Because what else do you do? I took a screenshot, which I'll try to attach if mods don't delete it, but right when I did, the alert vanished. Just blinked out of existence like it had never been there in the first place. Weird, right? I figured it was some bug or scam, so I finished my coffee and tried to forget about it. But later, while I was scrolling Twitter, I saw someone else post about it. Some random dude with like 50 followers tweeted, "Did anyone else get that creepy alert? You have been chosen. What the hell is that?" I clicked on the replies, expecting people to say it was fake, but a few other accounts had the same experience. Not a ton, maybe 10 or 15 in total. All of them had received the exact same alert. No sender, no explanation. I checked the comments, and this is where it got weird. A few people claimed to have received it days ago. Someone mentioned that their sister got it yesterday, and now she's missing. I scrolled through their tweets. Her last post was from the night before. "Ignore it. Don't respond. Just pretend you never saw it." That was her last tweet. I felt a little sick after that. Like, what are the chances I see this immediately after getting the same alert? It was starting to feel like one of those creepy chain emails from the early 2000s, the ones that say if you don't forward it to 5 friends, you'll die in your sleep. I closed Twitter. I told myself I was being paranoid. I had a class, then work, then a late-night drive home, and honestly by then I had almost forgotten about it. But tonight, as I was lying in bed, my phone vibrated again. No sound, no message on the lock screen, just a vibration. Then another, and another. It happened at random intervals, like someone was trying to get my attention, but they didn't want to be obvious about it. Every time I checked, there was nothing. No notifications, no missed calls, nothing. I don't know, maybe it's a glitch, maybe my phone is bugging out. But on my way home tonight, I passed by a telephone pole covered in missing person flyers. I don't usually stop to read them, but one caught my eye. The girl looked young, maybe my age. Brown hair, freckles, missing since yesterday. Her name didn't mean anything to me. But as I looked closer, I felt my stomach twist, because underneath the picture in the list of last known activities was a detail I couldn't ignore. Last seen checking her phone at 10:42 a.m., the same time I got the alert. Update: I got another emergency alert. People are starting to disappear. I wasn't gonna post again. I told myself I was overreacting, that it was just some stupid glitch or some viral marketing stunt for a new horror movie. But after last night, I know something is wrong. At exactly midnight, my phone buzzed again. This time, I was ready for it. I had my phone right next to me, screen brightness turned all the way up, waiting to catch it in action. And when it happened, I swear to God it felt personal. The same black screen, the same eerie white text. But this time, it was worse. "Your departure will be soon." I didn't even breathe. I just stared at it, heart pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. I tried to screenshot it, but the second my finger touched the button, the alert disappeared. No trace, no logs, nothing. By the time I finally got my nerves under control, I did what anyone else would do. I went online. I searched Twitter, Reddit, even weird conspiracy forums I'd never visit otherwise. And I wasn't alone. There were way more posts now, Some people were panicking, others were dead silent after making a post about the alert. A few people, only a handful, said they were leaving. No explanation. Just final messages like, "This is real, I can't say more. If you got the alert, you know what to do." Or worse, "See you on the other side." What the hell does that even mean? And then there were the other posts, the ones from people who claimed to have seen something. "I got the alert last night. Now there's a van outside my house. Haven't seen anyone get out. It's just waiting. Woke up to something tapping on my window. Thought it was the wind. It wasn't. The streetlights flickered at 12 a.m. exactly. My dog was growling at nothing. I'm freaking out. I wanted to believe it was bullshit. Just a chain reaction of paranoia. But then I saw the missing person reports. I didn't check the flyers again. I didn't need to. There were news articles now, real ones, official reports. People were vanishing. No signs of struggle, no forced entry. Just gone. There was even a name I recognized. A guy from my Tuesday morning class. We weren't friends, but he sat in the back, always doodling in his notebook instead of paying attention. Yesterday, he was there. Today, his seat was empty. I didn't think much of it until I overheard some classmates talking. "Yeah, dude, I tried texting him. His number's disconnected. I heard he just left, like moved out overnight." "Nah, bro. I live in his building. His whole apartment is empty. It's like he was never there." That stopped me cold. I didn't say anything. I just packed my stuff, left class early, and walked by his place on the way home. They weren't lying. The door was wide open, swinging slightly in the breeze. Inside, nothing. No furniture, no posters, no sign that anyone had ever lived there. The strangest part, the landlord's name was ripped off the buzzer list. Like the apartment had never existed. By the time I got home, I was shaken. I wanted to tell someone. I really did. But my parents weren't exactly the listening type. Dad barely looked up from his laptop. He's ex-military and he still works with government contracts. He's been on edge for weeks about something he won't talk about. When I casually mentioned that people online were freaking out about a weird alert, he just muttered, "Misinformation spreads faster than truth." Mom rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. It's probably some dumb marketing stunt, or a hacker messing with people. Don't fall for everything you read on the internet." That's rich coming from her, considering she thinks 5G towers control our brains. But my younger brother, he noticed something was off. He's always online, always lurking in deep dive threads and tech forums. And tonight, as I was finishing dinner, he slid his phone across the table. A Reddit thread. The title? "Anyone else get that weird emergency alert?" Hundreds of comments, all saying the same thing. And the top post, "My friend got the alert 2 days ago. He's missing now. If you got it, don't tell anyone. Don't answer unknown calls. Don't go outside at midnight. And whatever you do, don't look up." I looked at my brother. He looked back. And I knew. He was suspicious. But I still couldn't tell him. Not yet. Not when I didn't even know what the hell was happening to me. I don't think I can sleep tonight. I don't want to be awake at exactly midnight, but I definitely don't want to be asleep either. What if I wake up to someone standing outside my window? What if I wake up and there's no one left at all? I'll update if anything happens, or if I'm still here. Update. The third emergency alert said, "Do not look at the sky." Alright, I wasn't planning on updating so soon. But things are getting worse. I don't know if anyone else here has gotten the alerts, but if you have, please tell me. Because after last night, I'm starting to think I'm not supposed to be here anymore. I didn't sleep. Not really. I stayed up until 11:59 p.m., watching the clock like my life depended on it. And at exactly midnight, my phone vibrated. I didn't check it right away. I let it buzz, sitting there in the dark, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. And when I finally turned the screen over, I saw it. A black screen, white text, "Do not look at the sky." I stared at it, my stomach twisting into knots. Not, "Your departure is soon." Not, "You have been chosen. Do not look at the sky." I don't know why, but that's what finally broke me. I turned my phone off and threw it across the room. This morning, I tried searching for the Reddit thread my brother showed me. It was gone. Not deleted, not locked, just gone. Like it had never existed in the first place. All the Twitter posts, the news articles, the online chatter, wiped out. Like someone had gone through the entire internet and cleaned house. There were still a few posts floating around, but They were disappearing fast. The only ones left were filled with bot-like responses. You must be mistaken. Fake news spreads easily. There is no emergency alert system failure. I tried messaging some of the people who had posted before. Their accounts were inactive. And that's when I realized someone doesn't want us talking about this. Some guy on Discord said he knew people who had tried to leave their cities after getting the alert. They couldn't. Not because they didn't want to. Because they weren't allowed to. Roadblocks popped up overnight. National Guard presence increased. People trying to board flights? Denied. And the scariest part? No official explanation. The only thing they were told was for public safety. Public safety from what? My dad knows something. He left early this morning for a classified meeting. I know because Mom was furious about it. She hates when he keeps secrets. But he just grabbed his keys and left without a word. He was gone all day, and when he came back, he looked like he'd seen a ghost. I was in the kitchen when he walked in, and I swear, I've never seen him like that before. He's military, ex-special forces, the kind of guy who doesn't flinch at anything. But tonight, he looked hollowed out. Like whatever he learned, it was worse than he expected. Mom started laying into him immediately. What's going on? What aren't you telling us? But Dad barely even reacted. He just rubbed his hands over his face and said, I need to think. Then he went straight to his office and locked the door. He's been in there for hours. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to look up. But after the alert, after everything that's been happening, I couldn't help it. I stepped outside just before midnight, took a deep breath, and I looked at the sky. It's wrong. The stars look off. They're in the wrong places. Or maybe they're too dim. But the worst part? The moon. It's too big. Not in a whoa, supermoon tonight kind of way. No, it's physically too close. Like it's been dragged forward a few 100,000 miles and nobody is saying anything about it. I stared at it for a long time, trying to convince myself I was imagining it. That's when I saw the clouds. They weren't moving. Not slowly, not at all. They were stuck, like someone had hit pause on the sky. And for a split second, I swear to God, I saw something move behind them. Not a plane, not a bird, something bigger. I ran inside and locked the door. I'm not looking up again. At dinner, my brother looked at me across the table. Did you get the alert? It came out of nowhere. Mom didn't even react, still lost in her own little bubble of denial. Dad wasn't there, still locked in his office. It was just me and him. And for a second, I thought about telling the truth, that I'd gotten all 3 alerts, that I knew something was happening, that I was terrified. But I didn't. Instead, I forced a laugh and said, no, that's just internet paranoia, dude. His face didn't change. He just narrowed his eyes, studying me like he already knew. Then he got up and left the table. I think I just made a mistake. Something is coming. I can feel it. The government is hiding the truth. The military knows something. The sky is changing, and the people who got the alerts are disappearing. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I don't think I have much time to find out. I'll update if I can. If I'm still here. Update. People who try to leave are vanishing without a sound. I wasn't going to post again, but something happened today. Something I can't explain. People tried to leave, and they're gone. I woke up to my phone buzzing. By now, I should be used to it. The alerts come exactly at midnight, like clockwork. But this one was different. The text was shorter, harsher, final. Your selection is final. Those left behind will perish. I read it over and over, hoping the words would change, that I was still half asleep and seeing things. But it was real. And for the first time, I felt something I hadn't let myself feel before. Panic. I don't know if this made the news. I doubt it. But around noon, I heard something big was happening near the interstate. There was a convoy of people, cars, RVs, even some motorbikes, trying to get out of town. The rumors online said they were all chosen, that they all got the alerts, and they were done waiting for whatever was coming. They moved as a group, thinking numbers would keep them safe. I watched the live stream. The camera was shaky, phone quality, but you could see the highway stretching out in front of them. It was empty. No other cars, no police, just an open road. Then at precisely 12:42 p.m., the stream cut out. No warning, no connection lost message, just a hard stop. A few minutes later, someone posted a photo from a traffic camera near the exit. The highway was completely empty, like they had never been there at all. My dad knows something. After dinner, my dad finally spoke. Not a passing comment. Not a cryptic military deflection. A real conversation. Something is happening. I nodded, waiting for him to continue. I don't know everything, but I know enough to tell you this. People high up knew something like this was coming, and they did nothing. What do you mean? I asked. He hesitated. Then in a voice barely above a whisper, he said, I think they made a deal. My blood went cold. A deal? With who? He didn't answer. He just shook his head and muttered, we need to prepare. For what? I didn't ask, because deep down, I already knew. Mom hasn't left the house in 2 days. She doesn't even check the mail anymore. She's obsessed with keeping us inside, locking the doors, closing the curtains. At dinner, she slammed her fork down and said, no one is leaving this house, not for any reason. My dad shot me a look across the table, a look that said, she knows something is wrong too. My brother just picked at his food, staring at me like he was waiting for me to break. To admit that I got the alerts, I didn't. I just kept my mouth shut. Around 9 p.m. I went outside. Not far, just the backyard. I needed air. I looked up, not at the moon, not at the sky, just ahead, at the road. That's when I saw them, a group of people walking in the distance toward the highway. Some were alone, some in pairs. No bags, no luggage, just walking. Calm, purposeful. I wanted to call out to ask where they were going, but then, one by one, they started disappearing. Not like turning a corner, not like fading into the night. They just vanished, like someone was deleting them from reality. And just like that, they were gone. What happens now? I don't know how much time I have left. I don't know if I should fight it or if I should let it happen. Because I think I already made my choice. I stayed. And those left behind will perish. Update: the sun is flickering. I think the world is ending. I don't think I'll be able to post much longer. Something is happening to the sky, to the sun, to us. And I think I finally understand why we were chosen. I should have expected it. I should have known it was coming. But when my phone buzzed at midnight, my heart still jumped into my throat. By now, I don't even hesitate. I just look. Same screen, same text. You have 48 hours. Do not resist. 48 hours. I read it over and over, willing the words to change. 48 hours until what? Until I leave? Until I die? Until the whole world ends? I should have thrown my phone into the ocean weeks ago. But I didn't. Because deep down, I think I've always known. I was never going to escape this. It started in the afternoon. I was sitting at the kitchen table, pushing cereal around my bowl, when the room dimmed, like someone had switched off the lights. I frowned, looking up, thinking maybe a storm was rolling in. But the sky was clear. No clouds, no rain, just the sun, flickering. Not fast, not like a light bulb about to die. Just wrong. A slow, eerie pulse of light and shadow. For a full minute, the world strobed in and out of brightness. Then, just as suddenly, it stopped. And that's when the birds fell. Not one or two, dozens. I watched through the window as crows, pigeons, and seagulls dropped like stones, thudding onto the pavement. My mom screamed. Dad finally told me the truth that night. My dad sat me down. No small talk, no warm-up, just the truth. The sun is unstable, he said. The government has known for years, but there was nothing they could do. No bunker, no evacuation plan, just waiting. I wanted to tell him I already knew. I'd already felt it. The ones chosen aren't random, he added. His voice was flat, distant, like he was talking about someone else. The ones they take, their brains are different. I didn't move, didn't breathe. They've been tracking certain people for years, people whose minds work differently, people who think in a way that's valuable to them. To who? I asked, even though I already knew. My dad didn't answer. Late last night, my brother knocked on my door. I was about to tell him to go away when he whispered, I know why they want you. I froze. They don't care about your body, he said. They care about your brain. I turned to look at him, but his face was pale, his eyes wide with something I couldn't place. Think about it, he continued. The people disappearing, they weren't random. They were different, smarter, faster at recognizing patterns, better at solving problems, creative, abstract thinkers, the next step in evolution. That doesn't mean anything, I whispered, my throat dry. He shook his head. You don't get it. They weren't just saving people, they were selecting them. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't, because deep down, I already knew he was right. And that's when I saw the fear in his eyes. Not fear of the aliens. Not fear of the end of the world. Fear of me. My mom doesn't believe any of this. Not the sun. Not the disappearances. Not me. Tonight she stormed into the living room and ripped the blackout curtains down, screaming that it was all a lie. That none of this was real. That if we just ignored it, it would go away. I think she knows. I think she's known since the first alert. And I think, deep down, she's more afraid of losing me than she is of dying. We ate together tonight. For the first time in months, my dad sat at the table instead of at his desk. For the first time in years, my mom wasn't scrolling through her phone. For the first time in forever, my brother wasn't picking a fight with me. We all sat there, eating in silence, pretending the world outside wasn't crumbling. I wanted to tell them. I wanted to confess. I got the alerts, I was chosen, I should already be gone. But I didn't, because if I said it out loud it would be real, and I'm not ready for that. Not yet. I have 48 hours, and I don't know what to do. Update. I finally told my family the truth. They begged me not to go. I only have one night left. I don't know if I'll be able to post again after this, because tonight, everything ends. There was another alert. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to see it. But at midnight, my phone buzzed. One last time. I already knew what it would say, but that didn't stop my hands from shaking when I flipped the screen over. Black background, white text. This is your last night. You cannot stay. Something about those words felt different, not like a warning, not like a reminder, like a sentence, a final, irreversible statement. I dropped my phone and ran downstairs. I couldn't lie anymore. Not now. Not with so little time left. I found my family in the kitchen. My dad was cleaning his gun. My brother was scrolling through his laptop, pretending he wasn't looking up escape routes. My mom was staring blankly at the TV, watching static. I opened my mouth, but when the words finally came out, they didn't feel like mine. I got the alert. The silence that followed was the longest of my life. My mom's head snapped toward me so fast I thought she'd break her neck. My brother's fingers froze mid-scroll. And my dad? He set his gun down, slowly, carefully, like he didn't trust himself to hold it. "Since when?" he asked. His voice was so quiet it barely felt real. "Day one." And just like that, my family shattered. I've never seen my mom cry. Not like this. Not the kind that comes from fear. The kind that drags you under and never lets you up for air. She was shaking her head, over and over, like she could erase my words if she just denied them enough times. She grabbed my wrist so tight her nails left scratches. "You're not going anywhere." Like I had a choice. I barely had time to react before my dad stood up. Not in shock, not in fear, in decision. He grabbed his gun off the table and started checking the magazine. "You're not going anywhere." It wasn't a plea, it was a command. I took a step back. "Dad, no." His voice was sharp, final. Not my father's voice, a soldier's. "I will not let them take you." I turned to my brother. He was still sitting, still staring at me like I was a stranger. "Why you?" he whispered. "What makes you different?" It wasn't an accusation. It was worse. It was genuine confusion. I opened my mouth to answer, to tell him what I knew, what I felt, but before I could speak, the house shook. It was like a shockwave, a deep, vibrating hum that rattled the walls and set every light bulb buzzing. My mom screamed. My dad cursed, raising the gun like it could do anything. I ran to the window. The curtains were glowing, not from streetlights, not from the moon, from the sky. It wasn't night anymore. It should have been pitch black. But outside, the world was bathed in a color I can't describe. Not orange, not red, not white, just wrong. Like something was burning behind the clouds, like something was here. I turned back to my family. My mom was still sobbing. My dad was gripping the gun like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. And my brother? He just looked at me, not with anger, not with fear, with understanding, like he finally saw me for what I was. Something different, something not meant to stay. "Please don't go," my mom whispered. My dad aimed the gun at the door, waiting for something to come through. And I just stood there, because I still don't know what to do. This is my last night. And I have to make a choice. Update, I chose to stay. Now I'm watching the world end. This is it. There's no more time, no more updates, just the end. And I was never meant to be here to see it. My phone buzzed one last time. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I knew what it would say. I didn't want to see it, but I looked anyway. A black screen. White text, "We regret your choice." I barely had time to process it before the sky changed. It wasn't a sunrise, it wasn't a storm, it was light. Blinding, all-consuming, impossible light. Pouring in from every window, seeping through the walls, swallowing everything. My mom screamed, my dad dropped the gun, my brother just whispered, "Oh my God." But I knew. This wasn't God. I stumbled to the front door, ignoring my mom's desperate, "Abby, don't." I needed to see it. I needed to know. And when I stepped outside, I wasn't alone. They were everywhere. The chosen. Walking in perfect, silent lines. No hesitation, no fear. Like they already knew. Like they had always known. They stepped into the light, vanishing the moment it touched them. Not burning, not disintegrating, just ceasing to exist. Like they were stepping through a door only they could see. I heard it before I saw it. The hum, deep, vibrating, endless, not from the sky, from everywhere, from inside me. And then I understood. They were never here to save us. They were here to preserve what comes next. The people they chose, the ones who left, they weren't human anymore. Not really. Their minds worked differently. Their brains had evolved into something beyond us. Something useful, something that could survive what was coming. We weren't being saved. We were being left behind. You are the last of what came before. I turned back to my family. My mom was crying, whispering prayers under her breath. My dad stood silent, watching the light creep closer. My brother just looked at me. And for the first time in our lives, we weren't arguing, we weren't scared. We just sat together. And when the first wave of heat hit, I reached out and took both of their hands, not to fight, not to run, just to be together. Until the very end. I could still see it, high above the burning sky, the last ship leaving, taking the last of the new humanity with it. I wondered for a moment what they would become, what they would see, if they would ever look back. And then the light swallowed everything. I don't feel pain. I don't feel anything, just heat, light, gravity pulling apart at the seams, and then nothing. There's nothing left to say, no more warnings, no more regrets. I made my choice, and now, there's no one left to tell this story.